ক্লিক করুন অ্যাপের বেল আইকনে আর সাবস্ক্রাইব করুন এবিপি আনন্দ। সব সময় থাকুন খবরে।
নমস্কার, দেখছেন এবিপি আনন্দ, আপনাদের সঙ্গে আমি পাপিয়া। সত্যি ঘরে বসে এবিপি আনন্দে আইএসসির ক্লাস এবং লকডাউন এই ক্লাসরুমে প্রত্যেকেই তোমরা নিশ্চয়ই প্রতিটা বিষয় যেমন ভাবে আমরা একটা ওভারঅল আইডিয়া দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করেছিলাম আগের ক্লাসগুলোতে, আজকে কিন্তু একেবারে স্পেসিফিক একটা বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা করব। আজকের বিষয় ইংরেজি তোমরা আগে থেকেই জেনে গেছো এবং ক্লাসের শেষে তোমাদের জন্য অ্যাসাইনমেন্টও থাকছে, তাই লকডাউন ক্লাসরুমে সরাসরি ঢুকে পড়ছি। তোমরা রয়েছো আমাদের সঙ্গে 24605572 এবং 24605573 এই নাম্বারে ইউ ক্যান কল 2460। তোমরা নিচে দেখতেই পাচ্ছ 5573 এবং 5572। তাহলে আমি আমার পরিচয় করে দিই। আমাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছেন কাউন্সিল ফর দ্য ইন্ডিয়ান স্কুল সার্টিফিকেট এক্সামিনেশন মনোনীত টিচার সুচিস্মিতা রাহা।
গুড আফটারনুন
মিস্টার রাহা, আপনাকে স্বাগত জানাই আমাদের আজকের এই
Thank
প্রোগ্রামে।
you. I also am very happy to be here and to be of some help to my students spread all over the country.
সুচিস্মিতা ম্যাম, এই যে আজকে আমরা ডোভার বিচ নিয়ে আলোচনা করব, তাই তো? ম্যাথিউ আর্নাল্ডের। তো প্রথমেই আমার তো ডোভার বিচটা পড়েই যেটা বারবার মনে হয়েছে একটা ফেইথ, কোথাও একটা যেন ফেইথের অভাব হচ্ছে, অথচ শুরুটা এত সুন্দর করে শুরু হচ্ছে, দ্য সি ইজ কাম টুনাইট। তারপরে গিয়ে আপনি শুরু করুন একদম প্রথম থেকে।
All right. As I said, welcome everyone. Since you can't come to our classrooms and we are missing you terribly, so we are coming into your living rooms with a lesson designed specially for class 12. Today we are going to do one of those poems in your course, Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold, as you know, was a Victorian poet, writer, a classical scholar and an essayist. And he lived and wrote, his dates are 1822 to 1888. And he lived and wrote with such stalwarts as Robert Browning and Tennyson. Now, you were talking about the poem which was published in 1867 but written earlier when Matthew Arnold had visited the cliffs of Dover with his wife, probably after his marriage. The age, you asked about this crisis of faith which resonates with us today. You know, we also are feeling a certain emptiness somewhere when we are confronted with a situation which we are finding too big for us to handle. The age was one of intellectual, moral and religious doubt and uncertainty, and various factors contributed to it. Remember, the Industrial Revolution had taken place sometime around 1760 to 1850.
Right.
And suddenly you found that the entire society was in turmoil. Established institutions, all the things that people believed in received a severe jolt. Together with that was the development of the scientific temperament, and these also sort of challenged long-held beliefs.
ম্যাম, এখানে একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করে আপনাকে আমার একটা প্রশ্ন করতে ইচ্ছে করছে, দেয়ার ইজ এনি কনফ্লিক্ট বিটুইন রিলিজিয়ন এন্ড সায়েন্স?
Or that is what they felt at that time, because you suddenly had the theory of evolution being propounded by Darwin. All right, and suddenly, and that was directly confrontational to the creationism theory that they had believed so long, and so therefore they didn't know what to believe in any longer. And you have one poet called Robert Browning. He decides, you know, in his poem called Pippa Passes, you know, he writes, God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. All right, so the deep faith in God. Whereas with Matthew Arnold, with other poets, you have this sense of despair, of uncertainty.
Exactly.
You know, they do not know where they stand.
একদম। আমাদের একটা ফোন কল রয়েছে, মধুর গুপ্তা ইউপি থেকে ফোন করেছে। মধুর,
হ্যালো।
Yes.
ইয়েস
ম্যাম, হোয়াট
উই ক্যান হিয়ার ইউ।
Yes, Madhur, we cannot hear you.
মধুর, we can hear you.
What is the name of Dover Beach author?
Matthew Arnold. Please open your poem, your book of poems called Reverie, and you will find it on page 25.
The next question, why is Dover Beach relevant, ma'am?
As I develop the poem, you'll find the relevance coming in, and you'll find how today, sitting not only in India, I think parts of the world, the poem resonates with us. Just a matter of interest, the poem is a dramatic monologue, which is a form of poetry. Now, why dramatic monologue? It's dramatic and it's a monologue. For example, if you didn't know that Papia ma'am was sitting here and I spoke, all right, you would say that it's a monologue. I am speaking, and Papia is not speaking at all. So let's say, for argument's sake, but they're cues. If I say, you think, Papia, look at this page, Papia. So the presence of a listener is always felt in a dramatic monologue. Here, of course, Matthew Arnold had gone to the cliffs of Dover with his wife. All right? And therefore, you know, you feel that he is talking his innermost thoughts, his most private thoughts, his deep sense of loss, bewilderment, disturbance to his beloved, perhaps the only person he can trust. All right? So maybe progress with the poem.
সেই জন্য বোধহয় উনি বলেছেন, come to the window, sweet is the night here.
Yes, he tells her to share. The poem begins, and all of you who are following the poem with me, and it's on the screen also, you'll see that it's a beautifully romantic scene, very much in keeping with a man who's just got married. All right, they visited the cliffs of Dover. The sea is calm, and as I see this, please underline these words because we're going to look at it. The sea is calm tonight, so it's a moonlit scene. The tide is full. All right, there's no apparent disturbance. You know, when the tide is full, if you've been to a seashore, there's no apparent disturbance, and there is a change later on. The moon lies fair, beautiful upon the strait. Strait is a stretch of water. Dover is on the southeast shore of England, and it is separated from France by the narrow strait of the English Channel. All right, so he says on the French coast. So from Dover, you can see the French coast. So probably he can see the lighthouse, you know, and the lights blinking there. So do you see how he creates a seascape? Something you can paint in your mind's eye, actually. The light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast. The chalk cliffs, the white, and Dover is known for its cliffs, all right? And, you know, so they are standing and they're gleaming in the moonlight out in the tranquil little bay. All right? The bay, a stretch of water surrounded by land, all right? And it's tranquil, calm. So you've got a sense of calmness, of serenity, of beauty, all right? And you're reminded of poets like Wordsworth, poets like Coleridge, like Keats, who have painted similar romantic scenes of nature.
এবং ম্যাম মানে আমার একটা বাংলা লাইনও এই জায়গাটায় মনে পড়ে যাচ্ছে, এত সুন্দরভাবে রবীন্দ্রনাথকেও রিলেট করা যায় যে where the sea meets the moon blanched land, মানে চাঁদের হাসির বাঁধ ভেঙেছে।
Exactly. And then he invites, and here the element of the dramatic monologue comes in. He says, come to the window. And what has happened? And I would like you to remember this line. Sweet is the night air. So isn't it, at first glance, all of you who are reading this poem will say, oh, it's a very simple poem. It's about natural beauty. And then, you know, have you ever experienced your teacher telling you that your marks are good only, and that only troubles you? Or a friend, you wear a new set and you go to your friend and your friend says, oh, you're looking nice, only, and here also the word only. And we wonder why he said that. Only from the long line of spray. Now, if you've been to any of the beaches in India, you've been to Digha, you've been to Puri, you've been to Chennai, you've gone to Mumbai, you've gone to Kovalam, you'll see that when the waves lash the land, there's a lot of froth. And that is known as spray. So from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, the land is bleached white in the moonlight. Listen. Up till now, the sense of sight had been focused on. Now he is asking us to listen, and I know Papia will ask me a question here because she was very troubled with it. You hear the grating roar. Up till now, have you seen how everything is so soft, so natural, so
Exactly.
gentle, so mellifluous, and suddenly the word grating comes in. Harsh, discordant, grating row of the pebbles, and this all of you have seen at sea beaches, all right, especially where it's a pebbly beach, not a sandy beach, where the waves pull back the pebbles and then fling them on the shore. And therefore, you know, suddenly you have this very harsh, discordant note, you know, being introduced into an otherwise calm and beautiful scene. And these waves, he says, the grating roar. Now, see, the roar of a sea can be powerful at night. It has a certain music of its own. Now, what does the poet see in this? Of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand, up the land. And this, if you've visited a seashore, especially in the evenings, and you sit quietly, it's a never-ending sound, the sound of the sea. Begin and stop, cease, and then again begin. And it's not a harmonious sound. He's saying it's tremulous, unsteady, shaky, tremulous cadence, slow. And to the poet, and here is where
Exactly.
Papia had asked, you know, bring the eternal note of sadness in. So the beautiful scene is suddenly disrupted
Exactly.
by a sense of sadness. Why this sadness? All right? And therefore, you know, all of us have suddenly become alert. So it's not another natural poem on nature. It's got something else. The poet is trying to convey to us something else.
সেটাই
again.
আমরা আসবো
Yes,
ম্যাম।
yes.
একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করছি। সুমন রায় কলকাতা থেকে রয়েছে। সুমন,
My name is Angshuman Roy.
Okay. Angshuman Roy.
Angshuman Roy,
We
okay,
stand
no
corrected.
problem. Angshuman,
Yes,
please.
Angshuman.
tell your question.
And I wanted to know that if we are asking a long answer about some points regarding how does the poem bring about the conflict between religion and science in this poem Dover Beach.
I
then
also
what
asked.
point,
Yes. Continue, Angshuman.
Continue your question, Angshuman.
then what points can we write? Means
All right.
relevant points.
Yes. May I please give you this answer when we finish this poem, because we have an assignment and we will discuss how to answer this question. Just hang on, keep listening in and keep watching the show. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes.
Thank you.
May I continue then? So the eternal note of sadness in. And the word eternal is very important because the poet shifts. He's a 19th century poet. Remember, 1822 to 1888. All right? And suddenly he talks about Sophocles.
এখানটায় কেন ফিরে গেলেন ম্যাম? সোফোক্লিস।
That is exactly where we are coming in. Sophocles is what? 496 BC to 406 BC. We are talking a poem which is in the 19th century. But listen to what he says. Sophocles wrote in Greece and he's famous for his tragic plays.
Exactly.
Oedipus is one, Antigone is another. He says Sophocles long ago heard it. The word it becomes important on the Aegean. Heard what? Heard the sound of the sea. And the Aegean,
স্লাইডে কিছু দেখতে পাবো?
it's here, it's already
Okay,
there.
okay.
The Aegean Sea is the Mediterranean. So many centuries ago, he is hearing the sound, all right? And therefore, he says, sorry, it's gone.
আচ্ছা, একটা ফোন নিয়ে নিই আমরা।
Yes.
রাইমা ভাটিয়া কলকাতা থেকে। রাইমা, হোয়াটস ইওর কোশ্চেন?
My question is, in the introduction of the poet, it is mentioned that the poem is written in an elegiac tone.
Elegiac tone.
Elegiac tone,
Yes.
what does that mean?
Elegy means mournful. The tone is mournful. And the mournful, that's why we're coming into the mournful
এনি
bit.
আদার কোশ্চেন রাইমা?
No, ma'am.
ওকে, স্টে
Thank you. So Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, heard the sound of the sea, and again what Uraima you mentioned, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. So the sea becomes an extended metaphor about life, and that misery has been a constant in our lives, all right? But it takes different shapes and different forms. Now I belong to I'm very old, so I remember my mother always talking about the partition of India. She lived through partition. That was one kind of human misery. She lived through the Bengal famine. So that was another kind of misery. All right. So today we are facing one kind of misery also. Millions and millions of people are miserable. So therefore you find that this becomes a very important aspect where the poet says this is nothing new. We have had misery in our lives, and this misery continues because Sophocles heard it on the
আমরা একটা ফোন নিয়ে নি ততক্ষণে। আদিত্য ঘোষ বড়নগর থেকে। আদিত্য, what's your
Good
question?
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, in the first stanza of the poem, the
Yes.
poet has described the movement of the waves
Yes.
by stating begin and cease and then again begin.
Yes.
Does this show us the optimistic viewpoint of the poet, or it is just a continuation of the despair and hopelessness prevalent throughout the poem?
At this moment, I'm
Aditya,
sorry,
Aditya.
it is a literal meaning, all right, that the waves are going in and out. Later on, we come to the metaphorical meaning. Up till the first stanza, more or less, you can say, it is a literal scene, or only the point of sadness. Now we go into, we've seen, we've listened, now we go into the thoughts. What are the symbols? What are the philosophical concerns that the poet had? So, it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by the distant northern sea. Where is England? Could all of you tell me that? You would not look at books and think about it?
একদম। এবং আমরা যদি প্রথম থেকেই দেখি, আচ্ছা আমরা একটা ফোন রয়েছে তানিয়া বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় কলকাতা থেকে। তানিয়া, what's your question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
You know?
Ma'am, my question is if you could explain the conflict that's there in the poem, Dover Beach.
Yes, we'll come to the conflict, dear. We haven't
Okay.
come to the conflict as yet. Is there anything else?
No, not yet.
Okay. So we find in the sound a thought. So the poet links us the past and the present. His present, not yours and mine at the moment, but his present, that he had the same thought sitting in the distant northern sea. Now we move to what all of you are talking about, and probably some of you have intelligently read about the conflict. And he talks about the sea of faith. Do you see it's a metaphor? Faith is being compared to a sea. Now what is a sea? It's very vast, it's very deep. Similarly, our faith, and in those days grounded on religion, was also vast and deep. So the sea of faith, he says, was once too at the full. So it was a full sea, very much like the sea that he has described. All right, and round earth show, you know, the sea encircles the earth, all right, and it was like, and he gives us a simile. Just now we've had a metaphor, and now we have a simile. What is a metaphor? A metaphor is an implicit comparison between two very different objects. So you've got the sea and you've got the faith, all right, two different things. What is the comparison? And it's implied. The comparison is that there is that depth, there's that vastness, that width, all right. And then he moves into a simile when he says, was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled.
একদম। আর একটা
Yes,
ফোন
yes,
নিন
certainly.
তারপরে। হ্যাঁ, সম্পূর্ণা কুণ্ডু। সম্পূর্ণা, what's your question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
I would
afternoon.
like to ask that if we were told to show our perspective on the poem, there must be some key points. So what are those key points that we need to write?
Okay, and
Okay.
again, these are questions that we will take a little later. Okay.
Is
All
there
right.
anything else, Shampurna?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
just
Stay
hang
with
on.
us.
We will deal with such a things. So, like in a simile, you'll always get the explicit comparisons like, as, all these. And here also, the sea lay like, and he's comparing it to a girdle. A girdle is an ornament around the waist worn by women, and it's normally made of metal or of cloth. In this case, it is a cloth because it's furled. So what does a girdle do? The girdle, it enfolds, it protects, it contains. So faith was like that. It gave our life meaning. And we come back to what you had said right at the very beginning, that it gave our life a lot of meaning. All right? And we had, you know, like a ship is moored. Have you been to a port ever? When you go to a port or you watch a film, you'll find that the ships are tied by very thick cables. So faith is like that.
Exactly.
A cable which is tying us down, which is giving us meaning. All right? And here is, one of you had asked about conflict. Here is the conflict. That there is, you know, no faith in our world, then what do we do?
Exactly.
You know, the world is very bleak without faith. All right? So
One question,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Anirban.
Yes, yes.
Anirban.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, what is the meaning of turbid ebb?
Turbid is muddy, dirty. So can you understand how it's symbolic? Because once faith is removed, everything has become very confused. Whom do we believe? All right, and remember, it was creationism versus evolution. So now which theory to believe? And that's why I quoted a poet who resolutely believed that yes, everything is all right in the world because I have deep faith. And here's another poet who's saying that no, I don't think, I think the foundations of my faith have been shaken. Have I answered your question?
No,
I think he's gone off here. So now he comes to, again, one question which has been troubling Papia a lot. That the sea of faith is receding, she says, and she read it out to me while we were talking together, and she says, but now I only hear, and this is what Macho Arnold said, see, the auditory sense is still going on. It's melancholy, long, withdrawing, raw. Do you see how he stretched the sentence out? It's long, withdrawing, raw, retreating to the breath of the land, night wind. The breath will be a lamentation, obviously, a lamentation because faith is gone. Compare it to the first stanza. What do we have in the first stanza? Sweet is the night air. All right? There the night air was sweet. Here the night wind is perhaps hopeless. You know, hopeless and helpless. Yes. And he says, down the vast edges, this, you know, the seashore, the slope is slanting, drear, bleak, okay? And leaving, what happens when the sea, you know, retreats? You find those pebbles that he's talked about, they're left naked and vulnerable.
Shingles.
The shingles. And the shingles are very small, sharp stones.
On the question,
Yes, tell me.
what are the shingles? So there is any auditory effect in the poem?
Yes, we've had that early also, when the pebbles kept repeatedly hitting the shore. When the pebbles kept hitting the shore, you had this, you know, harsh, grating sound. Now we have this, the roar of the sea probably is muted, and the sea seems to be retreating, leaving those pebbles, those shingles, the small sharp stones, naked and vulnerable.
একদমই। এবং ম্যাম দেখুন এখানে কিরকম অদ্ভুত ভাবে কবি লিখেছেন যে পেবলস তিনি কিন্তু প্রথমে উল্লেখ করেছেন, মেনশন করে আবার শিঙ্গলসে চলে এসেছেন, মানে আমাদের ফেথটা কিভাবে ভেঙে টুকরো টুকরো হয়ে যাচ্ছে।
Exactly, as if it's eroding our faith. All right, our faith is getting eroded. And what happens when you're naked and vulnerable? You're watching a lot of that on television today, helpless people, naked, without clothes, you know, at the mercy of the elements, at the mercy of the harshness of nature. This is a physical problem that they're facing. The society, Victorian society, or at least certain thinkers of Victorian society were facing the same problem in a different way, in a different avatar, because they too were facing this emptiness. And they felt naked. Religion was like a girdle which furled around them, which comforted them, which gave their life meaning. Now everything is empty and they feel naked and they feel vulnerable. There's nothing that they can do.
তো আমরা লকডাউনে ক্লাসরুমে রয়েছি এবং আমাদের সঙ্গে সুচিস্মিতা ম্যামও রয়েছেন এবং এই মুহূর্তে একজন দর্শক রয়েছেন, একজন স্টুডেন্ট রয়েছেন, কুনাল।
হ্যাঁ
Kunal, you can ask your question. Kunal.
Ma'am, I want to ask that what is the theme of the poem?
What is the
All right.
theme of
Thank
the
you, Kunal. That's a very interesting question. The theme of the question, as you can see, is the crisis of faith, and what the poet's reactions are to the situation in which he finds himself. In a world where he finds, as Ma'am Papia said very early on, that in a world where there's erosion of faith, till you become those naked shingles of the world which prick you, which trouble you. That is the central theme of the poem.
ওকে আমার না এই লাইনটাতে আসতে ইচ্ছে করছে ভীষণভাবে ম্যাম, দ্য ইটারনাল নোট অফ স্যাডনেস ইন।
So sadness is a thought, isn't it? It is a feeling, and it is being echoed by nature itself. So, you know, nature is replicating in a way, is externalizing the inner sadness that man is feeling, especially at that time.
Okay.
All right, when in a society which was beset by so many problems. Now, you remember, Victorian society, in a sense, was a brilliant society. England had become the preeminent colonial power in the world. There was a lot of riches, but beneath that, there was a lot of turbulence in society, and naturally, the intellectuals and the thinkers could catch on, could hold on, and could identify the sense of, you know, emptiness, as he says, the naked shingles of the world, where we are left naked and vulnerable to the world. I'll do a brief recap before we go further. So, in the first stanza itself, the poet builds and he portrays a beautiful picture.
One more question.
Yes.
সৌরভ পান্ডে, পুরুলিয়া। সৌরভ, what's your question?
What was the inner sense, the last image of Dover Beach?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. What did he say? What is
Once
the-
more, সৌরভ।
What was the inner sense, the last image of Dover Beach?
You mean to say you want to know what is the inner sense of Dover Beach? Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So that is again the crisis of faith that contemporary society was facing, and they needed to deal with that. When you have a problem, you express it, isn't it? So the poet also was expressing the problem, the issue that he and fellow thinkers were facing in his life. Thank you for the question. We go
আমাদের
ahead.
আগের সমস্ত প্রশ্নগুলোর আনসার তো আমরা মোটামুটি দিয়ে
Yes,
দিয়েছি।
more or less, and we'll go on to the last segment where we shall answer those questions. Now, therefore, we have a beautiful, it begins with a beautiful romantic picture of the cliffs of Dover, of what he sees from Dover, either the beach or the cliffs, and there is an idea that he's probably looking out through a window. So there is a room. And you see, a room is comfortable, it is cozy, and he looks out at a world which is also similarly beautiful. And then slowly, as Papia is very struck with that particular line, he brings in the eternal note of sadness in. All right? And then suddenly the roar of the ocean seems to trouble him a great deal, because in that he finds a note of sadness. And then he therefore brings in the word eternal. To underline the word eternal, he links it with Sophocles. Sophocles, who was a famous tragic dramatist of the Greek age, and he says, Sophocles listened to the same thing sitting near the Aegean Sea. The Aegean is the Mediterranean, and he hears the same sadness so many centuries later, and in the distant northern sea. And therefore, all humanity, there is a universality of thought and feeling and emotion in all of us. He then takes this note of sadness, of melancholy, of the human lot, and tries to find out why we are melancholy. And he realizes, or he expresses his belief, that this is because we have lost faith. And this faith has completely gone away from our world. This faith which protected us, which gave our life meaning, which held us together, has left us. And now he gives us this terribly sad line, when he says, but now I only hear its long withdrawing roar. All right, the roar which was so full at the beginning in the first stanza, which was so powerful, now it seems to be the roar of faith leaving us. All right, and therefore, and the breath of the night wind also seems like a lamentation, like a sigh of something, a sigh of regret for something that once was. Because the world was much more defined, or so they thought in the past, and therefore we feel naked and vulnerable. We move to the
one more question. Diptankur Sinha. Vidyankur রয়েছে আমাদের সঙ্গে তো Vidyankur. Vidyankur, please.
Yes.
Vidyankur, you can ask your question.
I'm Vidyankur from Barakpur. I want to ask you that how is the theme of erosion of faith, helplessness is related to the chapter The Dolphins? I mean, we are getting a similar theme here.
Yes, there is a similar theme here, but dolphins is again, it is it is made by man, isn't it? Man has created this sense of helplessness by capturing the dolphins or capturing nature and using nature for his own ends. So there it is the helplessness of the dolphins as they find themselves in a situation which is alien to themselves and also not of their own making. But here the crisis of faith also is because we have abandoned faith. We, in our quest for scientific theories, we find that faith has abandoned us. All right? So,
Yes, ma'am.
if you're satisfied, we'll move on to the last stanza.
Yes, ma'am, last stanza.
Where, it starts so beautifully. Where, there's a slight note of desperation. He says, "Ah, love, let us be true to one another."
মানে যা যা কনফ্লিক্ট ছিল, মেলানকলি, উইথড্রয়িং রোর, লাস্ট স্ট্যান্জাটায় কোথাও যেন একটা উনিও এই জায়গায় আসতে চেয়েছেন।
And we are clutching for something. Then the question that comes is there nothing in this world? Do we have nothing?
একজন ফোনে রয়েছেন, একজন স্টুডেন্ট, অনিকেত অধিকারী, জোকা। অনিকেত, প্লিজ।
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In the first stanza of the poem,
Yes.
Matthew Arnold described the eternal beauty of the nature.
Yes.
Later, he focuses on the bleakness of the real world, which is resulted due to the loss of faith in humankind. So,
Yes.
how does it link the two contradictory subjects?
It's a question of very good question,
very good
Anika.
question.
Well done. The question is what? Is that nature is beautiful and we're coming to it. But he says, don't be misled by this beauty. It's all an illusion. All right? Because, there's so much unhappiness in this world. There's so much loss, the emptiness in this world that the poet is forced to conclude that everything is an illusion.
খুব ভালো কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Yes, it's an excellent question. Our love, let us be true to one another, he says. All right? For the world which seems to lie before us like a world of dreams. And I'm sure all students can relate to this. Aren't dreams wonderful? All of us have fantastic dreams. I dream of winning a lottery and getting $1 million when I don't have to work anymore.
আমাদের ড্রিম হচ্ছে করোনা মুক্ত হোক
Yes, at
পৃথিবী।
the moment we want to, we are all claustrophobic. I'm claustrophobic behind this mask, and we never thought that this kind of mutation will happen in our lives. So yes, all of us have dreams. And then what happens when you dream? You wake up to harsh reality. The moment I step out of the studio, we
একটু
will,
ইন্টারাপ্ট
yes,
করছি।
ma'am.
সপ্তপর্ণা সমাদদার, ব্যারাকপুর। সপ্তপর্ণা।
Hello.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
My question is, in the poem, the poet is talking about the eternal note of sadness.
Yes.
Is this the same sadness that Thomas Hardy feels in The Dazzling Thrush? Because that too was related with disillusionment.
Excellent. I can see a reader here. Yes. Continue, dear.
Any more question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, because
Stay
remember
with
these
us.
were contemporaries, isn't it? In fact, when we were we'll discuss how to write an answer. It would be wonderful if you can relate Thomas Hardy, Tennyson, and Matthew Arnold, because they belong to the same age, and the concerns were more or less the same. Yes, the deep note of pessimism as you're talking about, yes, it is almost the same, expressed in different ways, in different contexts. Yes, ma'am. So therefore, he says, which lies before us, this world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various. By various, he means full of variety. So beautiful, so new. If you look at the world, it is beautiful, isn't it? We are often, but whether it's the real beauty or whether it's a created beauty is something that we need to find out. So beautiful, so new, has in reality, he says, neither certitude, and the word certitude becomes very important. There's nothing certain any longer.
ওকে ম্যাম একটু ইন্টারাপ্ট করছি, একজন স্টুডেন্ট রয়েছে এই মুহূর্তে, উতঙ্ক বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়। উতঙ্ক,
hello ma'am.
Good afternoon.
You can ask your question.
Ma'am, my question is, what is the prime reason behind the composition of Dover Beach? Is it the Industrial Revolution or the advancement of human beings towards scientific evolution?
There were a number of reasons. You know, it was not as if he just read Darwin's theory of evolution and decided to write this poem. But you know, the sense of disquiet and unease that seems to rise and keep on growing, and therefore it comes to a point where you need to talk about your sense of despair, your sense of unease. So you can't pin it down to exactly one element. Though of course Darwin's theory of evolution had done a lot of, you know, had created a lot of waves in those days. Are you answered? All right. So he says, a world so various, so full of variety, so beautiful, so new, has neither joy. He said, don't believe that there is joy, or there's love, or there's light. There's nothing in this world, or certitude. And that's a very, very strong word to use. He says there's no certainty. Nothing is certain in this world. Aren't you and I facing the same thing that we don't know about tomorrow? All right? No peace, no help for pain. Who will help me in my moment of pain, in my moment of sorrow? So it's almost as if the common brotherhood of man has also seemed to have disintegrated.
Exactly.
And he comes to a beautiful visual image, and from the sea we have now moved to the plain. We move to a darkling plain, a dark plain where swept with confused sounds of struggle and fight. So who's struggling? The human lot, all human beings. We are madly, you know, we are fighting with each other, where ignorant armies clash by night. And I'm sure all of you sitting there can close your eyes and imagine when armies fight by night, what will happen? There's utter confusion, because in the night you do not know who you're fighting. And this is a reference, actually. Remember, Matthew Arnold was a classical scholar. So therefore the
One more
reference,
question,
yes.
ma'am. Clive Morris. Clive?
Yes, ma'am.
You can ask your question, Clive.
Now, what is the irony of the poem Dover Beach?
The irony of the poem, the irony lies in the fact that we start out with something that's so beautiful, and we end up with the fact that, you know, that beauty is not to be believed. Okay? That beauty seems to be an illusion, because that's exactly what the poet is talking about, that everything is an illusion. So swept with, I was talking about Thucydides, who was a ancient Greek historian, and he talked about the Peloponnesian War, which was one of the oldest wars that took place in Greece and one of the major wars. And it is believed, it's related, that it's in book 7, that, you know, that these armies, they were fighting in the night, and they couldn't make out who were friends and foes, and therefore very often they turned on each others and attacked each other. The same set attacked their own companions. So the idea being that because we do not have any kind of certainty in this world, since faith has gone, since we have lost our moorings, you know, something that had tied us down, therefore we end up as if we are on a darkling plain, and it's a very, very bleak, I might even call it nihilistic picture of a world which is completely dark, where we are fighting ignorant armies.
Exactly.
We're ignorant of what we are fighting.
Asifa Aftab.
Yes.
Asifa রয়েছে আমাদের সঙ্গে এই মুহূর্তে। Asifa, what's your question?
Good afternoon, ma'am. My
Good
name is Asifa Aftab. My question is, can we compare the glimmering tranquil bay to our flickering faith in religion?
Yes, we can also do that. It's a symbolism. But though the first few lines are actually literal in meaning, but if you want to go back, and because at that point he's not talking about anything that is deceptive, all right. So if you want to use that symbolism, of course, go ahead. Yes.
একদম এবং যেটা আমি লাস্টেও বলছিলাম তখন আমাদের আলোচনার সময় আমরা যখন ডিসকাস করছিলাম যে we are ignorant armies clash by night.
Yes, we are ignorant. We don't know what we are fighting for. We don't know who we are fighting, but we are clashing, and we are clashing not at daytime when things become clear, and therefore we can see each other, but we are clashing at night. And then at the end, therefore, at the end, we have to remember the beginning of the stanza. So, because the question that we very often ask ourselves is, so is there no hope? Is there nothing to think about? Is there nothing to cling on to? And he says, yes, there is. What is that? We have to cling on to our faith in one another. There might not be faith in the outside world, but companionship, love, friendship. These are things we human beings have to find recourse in these human qualities, the triumph over the human spirit, of the human spirit over everything else.
রাজদীপ শীল জোকা থেকে রয়েছে এই মুহূর্তে একজন স্টুডেন্ট। রাজদীপ,
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
My question is, isn't it very contradicting what we usually believe? Because people go to find peacefulness and serenity when they, visit peace. But here, both the vocalist and the poet of this poem is finding sea as a symbolism of misery and unfaithfulness.
Yes, thank you. I have told you earlier that it is an extended metaphor, and the sea becomes an externalization of the troubled soul of the poet. The troubles that he was facing or he was thinking about, he and other intellectual thinkers. It was not him alone. Other intellectual thinkers were thinking about in that age.
এখানে ম্যাথু এর কনসার্নটা কি এই পোয়েমে?
The concern is this: what will the world be like?
Yes.
Without anything, without faith, is the world going to be a dark one? And he has got only one answer. He talks about this, since one of you, the students, talked about Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy talks about hope, that everything is not lost. So each poet in his own way, tried to find some kind of harbor where they could, moor the ship of their lives. So where Thomas Hardy talked about hope, Matthew Arnold talked about love and faith in one another, trust in one another. You had a person, Lord Tennyson, who in his poem Crossing the Bar, which is also in your course, he has a deep faith that he will meet his pilot. Pilot here means his maker, face to face when he has crossed the bar. So each poet or each person dealt with the manner, with the situation, with the dilemma in which they found themselves in a different manner. Yes. Maybe yes, ma'am.
Yes. So how can students improve these answers?
Yes, I've got an assignment, a question for practice. If the students could see the question, what does the poet see? You've got a structured question, the 8-6-6 question. So the 8th question could be, what does the poet see from the cliffs of Dover? What effect does the scene have of him? And I've put down the points here so that it becomes easier for you, as some of you did talk about your long answer questions and how to write your long answer questions. Now on the screen you might have seen that when we were we had flashed the poem, we had underlined the important lines. When you are studying or re-studying, once your teacher has done it with you, I'm sure you'll go back to the classroom. I hope you are empowered. So when you go back to the classroom, all that you do, or even now, take out your text and underline the relevant lines. Of course, in your examination, you won't have your text with you. But if you underline the relevant lines, then it becomes easier for you to structure your answer.
Okay.
So, may I go on?
Any more question, ma'am, you have?
No, this question
Okay.
I'm giving you
Okay.
the answers.
Okay, okay.
Okay? Lyrical description of a scene of great natural beauty. These are the points that you must, focus on. Poet describes the calm sea, the full tide, the bright moon, the blinking lights from the French shore, the glimmering and vast cliffs of England, and it brings in a sense of harmony and peace.
Exactly.
You might even answer sweet is the night air. I've left that out, and you might just add that. So this is what he sees, and the question is, what effect does it have on him? It naturally, that whole scene will, on any of us, will bring in a sense of peace, of harmony, and he waits till that harmony is established to bring in the other word called only, other word namely only, and immediately our senses are alert. So when you're answering your question, these points should be there in your answer. If you want to quote, you can quote some of these lines. If you want to describe some of these lines, you can describe some of these lines.
ওরা স্ক্রিনশটও নিয়ে নিতে পারে যদি চায়।
Yes, if you want, you can take a screenshot of the points.
Exactly, ma'am. সত্যি মানে আমাদের যেভাবে কবি এগিয়েছেন একেবারে শুরু থেকে যদি আমরা দেখি, তাহলে মেইনলি কিন্তু বারবার উনি ফোকাস করতে চেয়েছেন ফেথটার উপর, যে সময়ের কে উনি উল্লেখ করেছেন, যে কারণে সোফোক্লেস কথাটা এসছে আমি আপনাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছিলাম, এবং আগাগোড়া কবিতাটার মধ্যে উনি আনতে চেয়েছেন ফেথটা যেন অবশ্যই থাকে, তাহলে আমরা আরো এগোতে পারবো।
And if you've noticed, there's a pendulum movement in the poem, from the present to the past, and then again to the present. So he's giving us a frame of reference against which we can view this human dilemma which he's talking about in this poem. Yes.
আয়ুষ আনন্দ সিং এই মুহূর্তে আমাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছে। আয়ুষ,
good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I have a question, ma'am. In Dover Beach, when we are practicing the questions,
yes,
poetic devices are important.
Yes, if you can mention the poetic devices. May I just give you the homework assignment, and we will talk about that as we enter the last phase of this program. I have given you a little homework. You could work it out and discuss it with your teachers. How does the poet describe the world it shouldn't be in the absence of faith? And how can you relate to the poem? Again, please use the same tactics. That is, you have to find out which lines, which poems are relevant, and focus on them, and then develop. And the last bit, how can you relate to the poem? If you can bring in the present predicament or predicaments down history, when all the time, remember during the Jewish problem or the Second World War, when Hitler was treating the Jews so badly, I'm sure the Jews also had this loss of faith. All right, they must have realized, is there a God at all? All right, so you can always relate to the poem. Now coming to, ma'am, just give me my cue when I end, that's coming to how to answer a question, a long answer question. Even if you are writing a structured question, remember never to write a summary, because your teacher also has the same text. The teacher probably has studied the text a little more than you have. So don't write a summary, but identify. First and foremost, look at your question, underline the lines which are relevant. In the question, what are the words, what are the lines? This will tell you what the paper setter or the person who set the question actually wants. Quickly, now that you've got time, write down your points. All right, and then look for matching quotations.
Exactly.
Which quotations will match your points. Once you've done that, you are set. Now you just have to develop your answer. Obviously, the student who can comment, for example, we said it's an extended metaphor. We've talked about a simile. We've talked about an allusion, because the allusion to Sophocles or even the allusion to Thucydides, obviously the student who writes that will get in higher marks. In our marks-ridden society, we are very concerned with marks. Yes.
Maitri Suresh, Mumbai থেকে আমাদের সঙ্গে রয়েছে। Maitri, what's your question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, my question is,
Yes.
The kind of love that, the cynicism of love that we discussed in Desiderata, can we link that to what he's trying to say in the last stanza of this poem?
In Desiderata, did you mention Desiderata?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, why not? He hasn't typified, he's talking to his beloved. So he is talking about romantic love, but love is not only romantic, isn't it? It's mother for a child, you know, brother for a sister, but and love is one of the greatest forces in the world. Isn't our love for God also? So our love for humanity, Mother Teresa's love for humanity. She expressed her love for God through her work with humanity. So yes, you bring in the feeling of love, the ability that even in this darkness, there's that tiny ray of hope. And the hope is in love and in being true to one another.
আমাদের সময় একদম শেষ, তাই মানে আপনি বলছিলেন তো লাভের কথা, তো ম্যাথু আর্নল্ডের আমার একটা লেখার কথা মনে পড়ে গেল। ইট ইজ সো স্মল আ থিং টু হ্যাভ এনজয়েড দ্য সান, টু হ্যাভ লিভড লাইট ইন দ্য স্প্রিং, টু হ্যাভ লাভড,
Yes.
টু হ্যাভ থট, টু হ্যাভ ডান।
It's a lovely positive note to end the program, and thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you everyone.
এবং আরেকজন বোধহয় ফোনে আমরা এই মুহূর্তে একদম শেষে পেয়েছি, অর্পিতা, অর্চিতা।
It's Adrita actually.
Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Orjita.
My question is that in the whole poem, the poet talks about human losing faith in God or the forces of nature.
Yes, yes.
But in the end, the poet himself contradicts himself by saying that the beauty or what we see like in nature is like nothing is certain. So isn't he losing faith? Isn't he losing faith himself?
You see, child, because he has lost faith, he is now unsure of all the sureties that there should have been in life. It's because that we have faith that everything seems to have meaning and structure and relevance. But when that faith is gone, then you don't feel everything is meaningless and bleak. And only love can step in, or trust can step in at this point.
একদম তিনটে ওয়ার্ড বোধহয় এই মুহূর্তে আমাদের কাছে খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট, লয়্যালটি, কমফোর্ট অ্যান্ড লাভ, তাই না ম্যাম? একেবারে আমাদের এই মুহূর্তের অর্থাৎ আজকের ইংরেজি বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা এখানেই শেষ করতে হচ্ছে। ম্যাম, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
অবশ্যই কালকে আবারও রয়েছে আইসিএসসির আলোচনা নিয়ে, অবশ্যই বিষয় ইংরেজি, সে বিষয়ে তোমরা চোখ রাখবে 12টা থেকে 1টা। এবং আজকে 3টে থেকে 4টে যেমন বাংলার অনলাইন ক্লাসরুম থাকে, সেরকমই তোমরা সেই আলোচনাতেও অংশ নিতে পারবে। বাংলার অনলাইন ক্লাসরুম নবম, দশম এবং দ্বাদশ, 3টে অর্থাৎ নবম, দশম, দ্বাদশ শ্রেণীর জন্য বিষয় থাকছে বাংলা। তাহলে আমি ফিরে আসছি আবার 3টার অন্যান্য খবরের জন্য। আপনারা চোখ রাখুন এবিপি আনন্দ।